Good morning and welcome. It's good to be here with you. My name is Jess Jones, and I am the Center Director with the Coffer Resource Center based here in Chicago, Illinois. We are the resource center that exists to support union professionals in the pursuit of professional work, and we are excited to be here with you. A little bit about us, if you don't already connect with us, you can stay tuned for events such as these through our social media channels or through email. If you don't already follow us on social, please do so. We can be found at Coffer Center on Facebook and Instagram. You'll see photos from events, notices for upcoming events, links to RSVP, and just the fun that we have on a regular basis. So feel free to follow us there if you want to stay tuned. If you're not so much a social person and you want things to come straight to your inbox instead, you can also subscribe to our newsletter. You could do that at Coffer Center Chicago, and you go straight down to the bottom middle of our website. There's a button there that says the Coffer Headliner. Feel free to subscribe, and we will make sure that our updates get delivered straight to your inbox. I am so grateful for this series. We've been on a little bit of a hiatus, just doing some general housekeeping, and it's nice to sit back down and be back in the space. I've said many weeks before, and I'll say again, one of the things that I treasure about our physical space is that it is a space where creatives and professionals come together, connect, stay in touch with each other, stay updated, share a cup of coffee, talk shop, life, and everything in between. And that is one of the things that I miss about being physically together, is just connecting together and having conversations and seeing each other in our center. But I am so grateful to Dr. Greta Pope for bringing this conversation series to our digital space, because I feel that this is exactly what we strive for and exist for, which is creating community and career-minded conversations between creatives. So without further ado, I'm going to invite Greta to the conversation. Greta, happy Friday, happy Good Friday at that. It is strange to think of how much time has passed, and here we are, in Easter week again. So wherever and however this finds you, you're in Michigan.
Yes.
I hope you are well on this Good Friday.
I am well. Everything is going beautifully. The weather is warming up.
You had snow yesterday in Michigan, though, yeah?
Here yesterday. Yes, you and I were on a Zoom communication, and I showed you. I mean, it was just really coming down, but it's all melting.
Yeah. Well, so spring is on the horizon. We have that to look forward to. Flowers are blooming in some places, and warm weather is returning.
Daffodils and crocuses, and I just so love it. Such a hopeful time of year.
Yes, absolutely.
And
and
all the things, this is just, it's like, boy, maybe we really are turning the corner here. Let's hope.
I feel like this is also our hopeful time. There's a few things that exist during our week at the Coffer Center that I look forward to, that I leave feeling kind of, emotionally rejuvenated, and that same kind of spring feeling. I feel like that exists in this space too, getting to sit by and listen to conversations between you and the guests that you've invited to this series. So this is a hopeful thing, a hopeful space for me as well. So I thank you for hosting this, bringing this to our space, and I am looking forward to hearing you chat with Valerie today.
I'm looking forward to this chat. Thanks so much, Jazz. And also a shout out to Henrique.
Henrique, yes,
he's so much for all that you do, Henrique.
He is our friend behind the scenes that helps make sure that these communications make it out to the interwebs. So if you are hearing and seeing us right now, you also have Henrique to thank for that. So yes, thank you, Henrique, for helping us make this happen. And thank you, Greta, for the conversation. Without further ado, I will step aside and leave it to you.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Hey there, and welcome to SoundCheck. I'm Dr. Greta Pope, and I'm so excited to have this opportunity to visit with creatives from a variety of disciplines about their professional journey. We are in the midst of a pandemic that has changed all of our lives and the ways in which we work. We will use this forum to share our thoughts, feelings, and best practices for surviving this challenging time. Today, we are chatting with Chicago actor Valerie Banks. Valerie is a Renaissance woman. She has many skills that have served her well as an actor and in her life in general. So let's jump right in. Hi, Valerie. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Greta. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me share
Oh,
in this with you.
absolutely. I was so delighted when you said that you'd be willing to share with us today. I know
Yeah.
that you do a lot of different things, and I want to talk about those things and how, how they have all informed each other and just kind of what your life is about. So, give us a little background. Where are you originally from? Where did you grow up?
Well, I'm originally, and I guess still am, from Chicago.
Okay.
I've grown up here on the South Side. I primarily have been here, except for when I went away to school and college in New York for a time. And then also, I had a job in my early career where I traveled to different states and worked and then came back eventually to Chicago. So it's considered my home base and I
Yeah,
can't get
South Side. That's great. I'm South Side
enough.
as well. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So you're an actor, a singer, a freelance writer, you're a horsewoman, and you speak Spanish. How exciting. You have a degree in business management from Syracuse University. So let's unpack some of these things. How did you make the transition from being a business professional to being a performing professional? Or have you been doing both of these things throughout your career?
Well, Greta, I think it started as a child when I was studying music. My father had been into music. He studied music right before I think he went to the military and studied voice, and then he also played piano. I started playing piano at age 5, and then eventually I went into playing flute because I joined a band. And so we had done a few little concerts as a grade school participant. And then also in high school, I, for at least one year, was in the band. And then eventually I went into choral singing, where I studied with Dr. Lena McGlynn at Kenwood Academy.
Oh,
And she
legendary, legendary.
the legendary Miss
Yeah.
McGlynn, the niece of Thomas Dorsey, gospel um, creator. And we did a lot of touring around Chicago, and I was in the groups where we were performing a lot in the city and also outside of the city. So it kind of started there, but I decided because my family has background in doing entrepreneurial things
Mhm,
that maybe I should also delve into the business side of
mhm,
study in
mhm.
addition to having come through music. And also, I was a writer as well growing up. So I did some writing for plays, short plays, and things like that. And when I decided to make the choice to do the business, it was a matter of, do I really want to walk away from creativity?
Yeah.
Do I want to try to find a way to blend what I can while still helping to support my family in some way with what had already started? So they kind of worked hand in hand, but I launched into a career after Syracuse and did some consulting, did some computer systems design work for a consulting firm. And also, I was a researcher at UIC and
Mhm.
developed some curriculum as well there before getting back into the writing world, which led me to acting, which led me to comedy troops, which led me to the SAG after singers, which led me to also helping to produce some talent showcases for local Chicago people.
Wow, that's fantastic. I mean, you've done so many different things, and it's fabulous that you've been able to kind of work them all together so that you're able to, to support your family, the business, and also act and also sing. And, I think it is just, it's great. And I think many people, try to do that, some more successfully than others. So you truly are a role model in that way.
Well, thanks a lot, Greta. I think it just takes a lot of going into your own spirit, your own soul, and really finding what your passion is. Everybody has gifts, everybody has interests, but when you can blend the two of those together and really find where your soul lives,
Yeah.
then that's when things start to materialize, because I never envisioned, when I decided to make the leap from leaving corporate and having expense counts and all different types of perks, to making a commitment to do writing and
Mm.
having that lead me to do smaller projects, that I would actually be more of an actor and end up on set, where I started to see the business side of the business of
Mhm.
entertainment. And that has informed a lot of everything that I do in terms of just trying to create a voice for myself in the industry.
That is fantastic. It's fantastic. So, how did you prepare to become an actor? And when did you know that you really wanted that?
Well, I wanted it a little bit as a kid, because my parents and my family has, at least for my nuclear family, we had a business, or still have, television and electronic servicing business, which was going way before I was born. And so I was always exposed to TV and things on TV, had a TV in my room when I was young. All those different things factored into my interest for seeing programming on television and thinking I wanted to participate. So I had an interest early on in wanting to do commercial work. And then my mom said, well, I don't know who's going to take you around doing this. And is that something you really, want to stick with? And I ended up not doing that, but I was interested also in a show that was on the air, ironically called Zoom, back in the day, not visioning that I'd be on Zoom, a platform, but I wanted as a kid to be on that children's show. And I just decided at some point that maybe, since I was so into music, I would stick with the music program
Mhm.
and forego any interest at that point in terms of acting. But once I started getting into writing, wrote some short plays, and then decided to do some screenplay writing and study that as well, I was encouraged to also study more sides of the business, which included acting. And once I started taking a couple acting courses, starting in voiceover and some other things, I started getting cast in different productions. That's really
Mhm.
what happened. And
Mhm.
then before I knew it, I was doing different things locally around town. And then I ended up being on set a lot of times as a crew member, but I was working as a stand-in. And I got a chance to work alongside some of the actors who would come into town, and then also learn and know some of the business um, things, that artists learn. So that's really where my interest in acting started growing, from the experience. And I guess it was my commitment to
Mhm.
just to expand and open up my world to all these different areas.
That's great. That's great. And to work hard to learn all of the stuff. That's great. That's
Uh,
great. So you're a horsewoman. Tell me about that. How did you begin riding?
well, I began writing, as I was saying, in terms of my family again. My uncle, who is one of my mother's oldest siblings, he had started it was a summer um, resort in
Mhm.
Michigan,
Ah,
ironically, Greta,
okay. Where was it?
and
I'm curious. What was the name of it?
near Kalamazoo, but Grand Junction area.
Cool.
And he became like one of the first Black entrepreneurs to have a resort, started back, I think, in the 50s or
Yeah.
somewhere in long time ago.
Yeah.
And result of him doing that, he had people coming from all areas of the Midwest and also some from the East. And he had horses because he was connected and knew some of the Black cowboys
Mhm.
that, rode throughout the country, as
Mhm.
well as mom and her siblings, including the brother, had grown up on a farm. So
Yeah.
they had horses growing up. And by nature, I was just always interested in it because they were interested in it. And every time we would go to the resort for family gatherings, I'd get to pick out a horse.
Wow.
So I'd pick out the horse for the week. That's my horse. And I still have family actually in Michigan that run a stable there today, but I just haven't been able to get them
Wow.
back.
Well, you have to
But
let me know where that is, and maybe you can come and visit with me and we can go there. I would love that.
oh, that would be fun.
Yeah,
That
that
would
would be
be
fun.
fun. Yeah.
It's interesting. My mother's grandparents had a farm in Kentucky, and she would go there every summer, and she became a very good horsewoman. But I never, I just never really had the exposure to it. And so when I saw that about you, I thought, what a cool thing. That's a wonderful skill.
Yeah. I love horses so much. And I think I was always challenging myself because I also grew up in sports as well as music and all the other arts thing.
Mhm,
So having come from sports and volleyball and track and tennis and things like that, I was always an adventurous person.
mhm.
That enabled me to think I could do something equestrian. You know,
Yes.
let's see about these horses. Let's see which one is the fastest one. And I remember one of the last times that I had actually decided, okay, today's the day that I'm at the resort. I'm going to see what horse I can get that runs fast, like in the movies. So
I
I
know.
had gotten a horse and the horse just crept up alongside a few of the other people that we were with in the group. And then the horse took off into the countryside. And I was so scared for a moment because I had no idea where we were going. I was following the lead of this horse, trying to stay on board so I wouldn't fall off. And then finally, the horse made its way through some area back to the resort that I had never seen before in my life. So
That is a
it's
little frightening.
exciting, but you learn a lot, especially when you're young. You learn to take on the challenges a lot more
Oh,
easier.
yeah.
It was
Yes, and it's so wonderful to have that exposure to animals. That is just, it's a wonderful thing. Our home here in Michigan, we have donkeys right across the way and horses, and it's such a different life than being in the city. And it's
yeah,
wonderful exposure, particularly for children. It's wonderful. Yeah,
right. I think that helped round me out as well because my
absolutely.
father was originally from the city. My mother was originally from the country, and so I got a chance to experience a little bit of both worlds.
So do you ride at all now? Do you have an opportunity to ride?
Only in my mind and in my screenplays, if I put them in there, that's all right now, Greta.
That's great. You
I
have to
had
come
hired,
visit with me. You have to come visit with my husband's a horseman, a good horseman. So you have to come visit. We'll go riding. I'll watch you guys.
oh, no, get you involved, Greta. You got to get on. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. But
yeah.
yeah, that's still of interest. I just, have been battling through different other things. So I haven't actually been to Michigan in a while, but it's still on the to-do list. So we'll figure it out.
Yes, we will figure it out. That sounds great. So now tell us a little about your Spanish speaking skills. How did that come about?
Well, early on, I was just always interested, curious of back to TV again, different stations, and going through the stations as a young person and seeing channels where they were speaking the language.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
I was curious from that point of view of just, wow, what are they saying? I think I can understand a little bit. I have an idea watching what they're doing and speaking, but I was just interested in it from there. And then I have a half sister who has some Spanish on her side,
mhm.
and she's well, a lot older than I am, I would say, and like a decade
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
But she had more of an opportunity to, growing up, get a chance to learn Spanish. And
Mm,
so I would sometimes get a chance to hear her speak it. And so by the time I went to high school, I decided, that was what I wanted to study out and still try to keep, fresh here and there. And ironically, when I went to my first major corporate job after college, I was paired in the training session with a roommate who was from Spain, and all of her friends from Spain were speaking Spanish all the time.
Yeah.
So I tried very hard to try to keep up with them, but at some point also there's a difference in where you come from and how the language is spoken. So, I'm still trying to speak the Spanish language and, become even more fluent if I can. But
Yeah.
that's still an interest to me.
Yeah, that's great. And how have you found that these skills have played into your acting opportunities that you've gotten? Have you been able to use a lot of these things in your acting?
I haven't so much as of yet.
Hmm.
Um, there may come an opportunity if I'm able to speak Spanish or have like an adventurous type of role, then
Hmm.
it'd be great. The only thing I would say is that sometimes in theater, you get more of a chance to spread your wings and do things that you would normally do. Even as me being, I was a co-founder of a comedy troupe, The Freshmen, that
Oh.
was through some of my fellow Second City people that
Mm.
we studied there through the diversity program. And then also some of them have gone on, like Chris Red, to SNL to do some other bigger things, but
Mhm.
honed a lot of our sketch and improv skills. And we could create and think of things outside of the box. So whether it was singing, whether it was jumping and doing other, more physical things, that is, a way to kind of use those other skills as well on the stage. Uh,
Yeah.
but I'd be interested to see how that would play into any other performance I have as an actor. Another thing that I will say is when I was working a lot in the productions on set in Chicago here, because I spent a lot of days being like either one of the only females on one of the productions for TV shows or some films, or
Mhm.
even the only Black females
Mhm.
or Black persons on a crew that was here in Chicago. And there were a couple times where I got a chance to work alongside some stunts people or be involved in some of the setups that they did. So that allowed me an opportunity to flex more physical types of things
That's great.
and expose my, self to those areas as well.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's exciting. It's funny how the experiences that we have and the things that are kind of part of the fabric of who we are can really play into the things that we're seeking. All of the things kind of are interwoven, and it's those are the things that make us truly unique. The fact that you're able to ride a horse and you're able to speak Spanish and you write well and you act and you have business acumen, and all of these things make you a very unique package. And that's fantastic.
Yeah, well, thanks, Greta. I hadn't not necessarily set off on this particular framing of my journey, uh,
Hmm.
but I think the way that God has allowed the path to evolve,
Hmm.
everything in some way has come full circle or is being used.
Yeah.
And I think anytime you really get in tune with yourself and where you feel a best fit, universe is leading you,
Hmm.
things kind of naturally come into play and everything, pulls itself in the direction where you need to be. So, I'm grateful for all of these experiences because I think as I pursue my career as a singer as well as doing acting and writing. I'm also, writing pilots and still doing some films and also in the process of trying to expand on an idea that's already been produced. much as I can develop my voice. That voice is what is going to be the shining star that allows me to be seen for who I am as an artist and what I can contribute. And that comes through in any area of artistry. You know, when you're singing, you're still giving of yourself, your own perspective, your own spin of how you interpret the material.
That's
If
right.
you're an actor, you're doing the same thing. And when you're writing, you're also doing the same.
Mhm.
All just interweaves. And you just have to find the way that you best can present who you are from your spirit so that it lives in whatever work you're doing as an artist.
That's right. And that is the thing that makes it so unique. Everything about you comes into whatever art form you're doing, whether you're acting or singing or writing or whatever. You know, all of the experiences that you had in your life inform the way that you do that. And that is just, that's very cool. That is
Yeah,
very cool.
so true. Yes. And it's just an ongoing thing. I think anyone who is an artist realizes, even though you've had decades of experience, you can always just reinvent yourself. You can always evolve. There are other things to conquer. And you just have to be passionate and persistent and committed. And as you said earlier, keeping the hard work in the forefront
Yeah.
is definitely what it takes. Because look, I'm on many hours of no sleep now. But you just have to stay in the game.
Yeah.
And it's not always who is the most talented. At least that's what I've heard, even with casting.
Mhm.
It's about who brings themselves fully to the table, to the room, to the
Yes,
moment.
that's right.
Everything else will fall into place.
That's right. Authenticity is hugely important. And having a sense of who you are as an artist and what you have to bring to the situation, and then having the skill set to bring it. So that
Right.
it's yeah, it's huge. It's huge. So tell us a little bit more about the writing that you've done. You said that you're doing, you're writing pilots and just various things like that. And I know that your writing probably did not start off to be that, but it's kind of morphed into that. Is that so?
Yeah, that is so. As a child, before I could really write myself, I used to like telling my stories to my mom and
Mhm.
have her the dictation, so to speak, so that I could get them out. And
Wow.
love, especially on Sundays when we couldn't go to church or if the weather was bad, then that would be my day for us to sit down and me to get a chance to figure out something to tell her. And from there, I just had taken it moment by moment here and there, developing just little short skits. I think the church also really helped me
Mhm.
form a foundation because that was where I did my first skits on stage, which was a form of acting.
Mhm.
I wrote some short plays in the church. I wrote some litanies and some other material for the church services and for the curriculum for our Bible groups and schools. I did that. And then eventually I went into college and I wrote for one of the campus papers,
Wow.
which led also to me doing some writing in the corporate world, of course, and developing some curriculum for new managers when I was in corporate world. And left from there, went and did research, developing curriculum through UIC. And that's where my script writing started, which is where I did my first documentary short film,
Wow.
which was at UIC. And that got me more into wanting to produce or wanting to uh, figure out a way to put projects to full fruition. And then just working into screenplays more, and but having an eye more on television at the
Mhm.
time than film. But because film had been so big for everyone, that's really what the encouragement was. But nevertheless, I put my focus onto doing some short scripts for the screen. a little bit for the stage. Some of it has been performed either in my improv troupe or also with some local theater groups. But yeah, I'm working on, especially, I just finished the SAG-AFTRA Film Short program through the our Chicago local right before the pandemic. And that allowed me an opportunity to write material and perform it with some of my fellow union members. So that is produced, and I'm trying to expand on that idea as well as some others going forward. And some other short projects that I'd started developing. I'm turning some of them into series ideas and some of them into film. And I've got a few people who are interested in looking at some things. And then I'm also working with some people in LA that I know in a group there. And just continuing to evolve. But I would say that writing has been a core through line for me for a lot of different things that I've wanted to do. And it's also led me now to go back into study. So I am, or got selected to be a part of Chicago Dramatists here in Chicago.
Oh,
Uh,
wonderful.
series that's telling your truth, that's going on now. So as a writer, that's what I'm developing some more projects through there. And also, I'm back at my old university on some level at Syracuse University through the Orange Academy. They have a new program that is working with alumni or allowing alumni, faculty, and staff to participate in different programs. So I'm doing some sound recording, learning, and also doing some film production learning and other things through my university. And I tell you, once you get back into that kind of scene with study, I forgot how serious that is. It's very intense. It's very intense.
Yes.
Like falling off the horse and jumping back on again. That's what it's like. I
That's great.
forgot the ride was so rough when I was in there. But now that I'm back on, I'm holding firm as best as I can. But
That's
yeah, that's
great.
what I'm doing. So yeah, all of that is still coming into play, and just doing the writing and keeping that in the center as well.
So exciting. So exciting. You've got a lot of wonderful things going on in your life. And you're so lucky that your parents really encouraged the creative side of your upbringing, or of the texture of who you are. The fact that you would dictate to your mother and she'd write these stories down. What a wonderful thing. And then they also had the business, which kind of, the left brain, right brain thing, so you've got it all going on, which is fantastic.
Yeah, that's true. They did have both areas where I was able to learn from, and I'm grateful for that, as well as the fact that they were older when I came along, which my father
Mhm.
always reminds me of. I was here long before you got here. I understand that I didn't have a choice in the matter, but yeah, they did have different things that were kind of at play by the time I came along. So
Mhm.
I got a chance to experience things that were already moving
Yeah,
are already in place,
yeah.
and the arts as well as business, and both of them had both sides. Both were entrepreneurs, both had some elements of arts within them. So it was a good blend.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So, do you feel that business has helped your acting and acting has helped your business, and all of these things have kind of worked together to bring you to the person that you are today?
You mean acting in terms of just, I meant the business of
Yeah,
what
just
I'm
working with your family and your education in business, and then your creative side. Do you feel that these things have informed each other?
Oh, yeah, I think so, because it gives me a broader perspective
Mhm.
um, of different things. I'm able to see like a bigger picture on some level,
Mhm.
and I don't know how I can separate it. There
Mhm.
are lots of things, even in looking at a script, or even if I'm looking at a show, TV or film, the elements that go into putting it together, the behind the scenes kinds of things that have to take place, some of that I can discern, some of that is able to be just looked at and studied more. And that is where my inclination is. So, in some ways, I think that it does inform, one informs the other, because I'm able to see a big picture, even with acting or writing, the business side of things or how it's put together and the elements that are needed to make it happen. Which is why I was so grateful when I first started really in the industry here in Chicago, being on set primarily as a production member, crew
Mhm.
member, standing in, working alongside the artist as a stand in, the actor who was coming into town mostly. Sometimes they were local
Mhm.
as well, but also being able to know and see the directors, be able to know and see the producers, some of the decisions they were making, how they examined the frames for different things, how
Mhm.
that played into the scheduling for the next day when we couldn't shoot, when we did shoot, all those different things you get a handle on.
Mhm. Mhm. That's great. That's great.
So
So,
my family's business has informed me because it's just made me more aware of what it takes outside of just the immediate tasks at hand.
yes, yes, that's great. That's great. So, as a business professional, do you think that the world will be different once the pandemic is over? And if so, how do you think that it will be different?
Well, I do think it's going to be different. I am from the School of Management at Syracuse originally, Syracuse University, where I graduated and still am back in some level. But there has been some discussions in the business environment about how to reintegrate people into the workforce if they're going to return.
Mhm.
And it appears that there is still going to be the shift. I would think that there's going to be still some kind of hybrid thing that's going to take place in the work environment, like we're seeing now with people at home and then in the workplace.
Mhm.
I don't know really how much more that's going to work with people commuting like they used to. That
Mhm.
might take some additional time,
Mhm.
but the return to office, I think, is going to be quite different.
Mhm.
Uh, but there's always an opportunity for certain jobs to actually still be centered in office spaces. It's
Mhm.
just going to look a little different, and some of the job opportunities are going to shift and
Mhm.
become new opportunities as a result of the pandemic.
Yeah, yeah.
Because there's so many other new businesses and needs that are developing and health wise going forward that
Mhm.
we haven't fully set sights on yet in terms of what's going to be needed going forward, because this is one pandemic, but we've been on the verge of pandemic for many years now. It's
Yeah.
just actually culminating right now. So
Mhm.
we just have to continue to see that evolving. But I do think there are going to be some changes with how people are going to interact in the workplace and
Mhm.
also um, where they're going to work,
Yeah.
not always in an office space, but more remote.
Mhm. Mhm. What advice would you give to others looking to regain their footing post-pandemic?
Hmm, that's good, Greta. I think with so much happening, especially with the artists that we are trying to pursue careers, it's so challenging to figure out next moves when you don't know what's in front of you.
Mhm.
I really am at a point of trying to discern that for myself in terms of career, where to really put focus. I think the thing that everybody should consider is just to keep fresh on whatever skills they have, interest in any other areas of the business, try to expand their learning. I think some of the new contracts that SAG-AFTRA has put in place for um, performers to be able to do more creative things on their own is a good opportunity for people to try to pursue those, because it can not only expose them to more people, but it can also help perfect and expand the skills they already have.
Mhm.
And so I think to try to get more of a footing, you just have to not focus so much on the uncertainty of where we are now.
Mhm.
Just trust that things will fall in place as we go along, but at the same time, keep preparing yourself. Just keep moving, keep trying to learn, keep fresh on your skills, all of those different things. And if there's something new that you wanted to try that you never did before, find a way. There are a lot of different free programs and things that are popping up online you can take advantage of, learn, find out how you can connect with groups,
Yeah.
get active. And before you know it, you'll be finding yourself building on whatever you did pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
And you'll come into this new world even stronger and better than you were before.
That's great. That is great advice and so true. So true. So tell me, how has this time been for you emotionally? How have you kept your spirits up?
Prayer,
That's
prayer,
mhm.
and just putting one foot in front of the other every day.
Yeah.
Even when the going has been tough,
Mhm.
even when the money has been tight, even when the fear was setting in, mask, no mask, double mask, go into the store, don't go into the store, get on the bus, don't get on.
Yeah.
All of that has been an emotional roller coaster.
Mhm.
And I think it has been really challenging for me, but it's also been good. It's been good because it's almost like the time that was needed to actually sit still.
Yeah.
I think if you're a spiritual person, you know that God takes moments where he wants his people to be still. And some people feel uncomfortable in their stillness. But if you're a person of faith, on trusting what's going to happen, then you can work through that stillness and then find out what it is about you that you need to learn, what it is about you that you need to share with others, and just um, build up your own inner psyche so that you're able to be a warrior, because that's really what it takes right now. You have to be a warrior mentally in order to deal with all of these challenges. And the vaccine is great. We needed it so bad.
Yeah.
It's here, but at the same time, we have to stay vigilant.
Yeah.
And so if we can continue to do that, I think even with myself, it's encouraging, but I still have to try to find my way through those moments and pray and still emotionally deal with everything that's still yet to come, because there's so much unknown, even in my family situation going forward, in my career work situation. But then again, this is a fresh start.
Yes.
On some level, everybody has a fresh start. We're going to go into a new world. We get to carve another path and then see what happens. So I'm hopeful, Greta,
Yeah.
that I
Yeah.
can continue just to have sanity and to just be inspired by people like you who are doing these things online,
Thank
and also other people who are having successes in what they're doing.
you.
So
Mhm.
all of that helps me, believe it or not, emotionally, psychologically to deal and get through everything.
Wow. That was great, and such sage advice and such a wonderful viewpoint. Thanks so much, Val. You have given us all wonderful insight on life. And you've shown us that you can have it all and keep your sanity and move forward and all of those things. Kudos to you. Brava. Fantastic.
Kudos, Greta, kudos. Now all hell's gonna break loose because everything's getting to be done. But thank you for this time here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to call Jess back and see if she has any questions for you or any thoughts or if there are any questions in the chat or whatever.
Hi. Yeah. If anybody has anything that they want to chime in the chat, whether Facebook or Zoom, feel free. Yeah, I feel like Valerie, I feel like you, yeah, Henrique and I joke about this, or I continue to joke about it at any rate. And Henrique laughs every time I say it because he's a nice guy. That by the time this pandemic is over, I feel like we're all going to know how to do it right. But it does sound like you've reached a very clear-minded state of zen and awareness. That said, I want to know, what are you most looking forward to coming out of this? What is the thing that excites you the most about finishing this period of isolation and distancing that we've all found ourselves in?
Exploring the world as I once knew it. Going to a movie, going to see people in person. It's gonna feel a little strange and weird. It's more so with people that I know, like you all.
Yeah.
You know, I see people when I go out. I don't necessarily know them at the store. Some of them are just, fleeting neighborhood people. But just to interact in the environment, to be able to have the option to go into a store or go in to sit down at a restaurant, things like that are things I'm looking forward to. And we'll see. It's coming together, I think. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed is right.
I think today there is news that it is considered safe to travel if you're vaccinated. Is that right? That CDC guidance is that Americans can travel again.
Yes, I believe so. And also
Enjoy that.
the airlines are no longer blocking off the center seat. Like people are going to be sitting in all of the seats. So that's interesting.
Okay. Well, that's good news.
Yeah, but it's, I think you nodded to this, Valerie. You nodded to the idea that it's going to take adjusting though too, because I think we've, I mean, your muscle memory, what you've become accustomed to, like you're saying, it'll be interesting to see it's not so strange to see a stranger and not hug a stranger. You know what I mean? It will be
Right.
strange when we're in the same room and we're with people that we know and love. How do we do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. That's going
We've
to be
gotten
an
so used to it being
moment.
different.
Right. I'm going to have my notes ready to go as I observe everything that's going on. It's going to be an interesting moment to just see how we're able to form that bridge from one world to the next. But, every so often we have to go through these changes in the world, and we just happen to be living through it, I think. So this is just going to be one of those shifts we're just going to have to experience and figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes me think of the language that intimacy coordinators need to employ in theaters, like the idea of checking what people's comfort levels are. Like I think we have to really have a consciousness of proceeding with each other with care, because a lot of people have experienced this in very different ways, and a lot of people are going to emerge with shifted comfort levels. And I think we do need to keep checking in with each other to see how we're all doing as we reemerge, because I think we are not the same people that started this journey, and we need to be checking in with each other at every step. So
yeah, that's so true. And I think as we continue to learn more about the fallout of everything that's to come from us having sat for this amount of time, we'll be able to kind of see where we need to put our focus and where we need to try to regroup or rethink some things. But yeah, it will be some challenges to see how everybody is going to be able to pull together and want to come together, because that's part of it too. I think we've been forced into this mindset where we're like, we can't be together, we shouldn't be together.
Yeah.
That we have to now reshift back into, oh, I really do want to be around that person. Oh, I really do want to go hang out.
Right, right.
So, it's going to be something that we're going to have to continue, I think, for a time to overcome.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm, mhm.
The race might be over, but the marathon isn't done, kind of
That's
thing.
right. That is right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Well,
It's
Val,
Well,
I want to thank
it's
you.
been great. This has been
Yes,
a wonderful
it's been
conversation.
wonderful. Just such great insight, Valerie. Such great insight. And, just a spiritual being you are. And you've figured it out to the degree that we're able to figure it out. You figured out what works for you. And I think that is just wonderful. It's wonderful.
Well, thank you all. And it's been a great opportunity to be able to have this chance to participate on your sound check, Greta. And I appreciate the time here and the audience for coming in as well. So everybody stay encouraged, and we'll get through everything.
Thank you. Thank you
It
so much.
has been great to sit down with you, and it's been good seeing you. It's been a minute since I've seen you, Valerie, so it's good to see you in this space.
That's for sure. That's for sure.
And Greta,
So
thank you as always for hosting the conversation.
Absolutely. It is always my
It is
pleasure.
so
It's
wonderful.
nice to just be able to connect with people and see what's happening with them. And it really lifts my spirits to be able to just chat with people and get a glimpse into their lives and see what's happening with them and offer some encouragement if I can.
Well,
thanks.
thank you,
Thanks.
Greta. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next week we are back at 1 p.m. Correct? That is that we are
Yes.
slightly shifted schedule next week. So if you're tuning in next week, we'll be sitting down with Deb Dotzer, and we'll be coming to you at 1 p.m. because she's doing remote teaching in the morning. So everything's virtual, but we'll be coming into our stream at 1 o'clock next week. So feel free to RSVP or join us on Facebook Live if you're interested in sitting down for that conversation. And in the meantime, Valerie, Greta, it's good to be with you. Audience members, stay safe, stay sane, stay well, stay creative. And we hope to see you at a future sound check with Dr. Greta Pope.
Absolutely. Happy Easter, happy Passover. Have a wonderful weekend.
Yes,
bye-bye.
indeed. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.